obviously they've come through to you there. And when people hear you say LBT, that stands for Light Body Travelers, in case you were wondering, the initials,
sure, yeah.
LBT. So in your easing, explain how often it comes out, how you decide your subjects, and how you get it out to the world.
Awesome. Okay, we basically, William and I get back to the United States about once or twice a year, and we like to do it in person. We draft all of the potential monthly themes when I get together with him in Florida. So we'll come up with basically a monthly or a month by month slate. We'll draft all of the guidelines, like if we're taking a theme like I don't want to be a spoiler for anything upcoming, so to move backwards, we did an issue on money, and right off the bat, I was against it, and William's like, well, money is actually, it's not necessarily a separate thing from, anyway, I don't want to go off on a tangent, but he talked me into doing an issue on money. So then we, under that monthly category issue, we drafted, 10 to 12 potential topics, and then we kind of narrow them down. And we do that for every month. And then we put that together once a year, and then I come back to Chile, and then we have our set authors, like Cindy, you're one of them, and then every month, depending on the issue, we try to seek out a specialist in a field to do either a video broadcast special feature or a Q&A kind of thing. And the response has been, it's just so neat when you put something together and people just walk to it and love it and participate, So we've never had a shortage of authors, and it's just been a really, really good interactive experience for the readers and the authors.
How do people that aren't part of the LBT, Light Body Travelers, or Spiritualists International, how do they find the articles? Is that just, again, through the talents of knowing how to use social media and get it out there? Because I know you have quite a few people who read the articles in this magazine, which isn't easy.
Yeah. I mean, it's no secret today that social media is key when you want to get something out there. To put up a website these days and just let it sit there, doesn't really work. You really have to utilize the social networks, but that's what they're there for, and our social network groups on Google Plus, obviously Facebook, those are probably, and obviously our YouTube channel. Those are the three primary distribution sources that we use, and all those groups have grown up quite healthy, and they're continuing to grow good. So, we use those social media forms of distribution to get the articles out there and to get the message out there, really.
Well, you have a very interesting topic, which I'd like to take a couple of minutes at least to talk about in the 10 minutes we have left, or 11 minutes we have left. This coming month, actually, the month we're in, is the subject is death. And it's so interesting because death was what started me on the spiritual path, and it's continued to be a big influence in understanding higher levels of heaven and higher realms. And of course, Dr. Masters just passed away.
Yep.
you just had a loved one pass away.
I did.
So this is something that really touches people. And so you asked me, I have to say, I really am always honored to share anything. But with my schedule as it is, between my radio and my travels and always these assignments I get from Spirit, this year it's going to be on writing a book and a CD on Mary, Mother Mary. But you always have... I just, I always think, wow, when you told me you were going to do an article, the subject matter was death, I thought this is something that touches everyone. It's very, very important. So let's talk a little bit about that subject and how this has evolved.
Well, first and foremost, Cindy, your article is featured today, again, but we're in the middle of transferring hosting, so I didn't want to mention too much, but you guys can all find Cindy's feature at lightbodytravelers.com. Click on Spiritualist International Magazine, and you can read her awesome, amazing testimonial and story about losing her father at a young age. I think what you were explaining as I was logging on, but it's a beautiful piece of inspiration, so everyone feel free to read that and share with Cindy there. The issue itself is called Death and Rebirth, and what we're trying to do to put it in layman's term, is to take a bite out of fear, because death and the unknown is really what we define as the underlying virus kind of that plagues the human psyche throughout its existence, because we know it's coming. We know it's the grand finale. The last breath is just as certain as the first breath. And what we're trying to do to remove some of that fear is to begin to illustrate the realities of the cycle of death and rebirth. So, we want to think about, it's just as important how we spend our time here in the physical, which is, the bridge that links our birth and death. And then there's also the second half of that cycle in the afterlife, which links our death and our rebirth. So we want to teach people, not necessarily just through astral travel and the out-of-body experience, but we want to teach them, at the karmic level and everything else, and through dreams, lucid dreaming, how to prepare and understand the second half of that cycle, and then equally understand the importance of the living cycle at the karmic level. And really through that's one of the tools that we use to understand and accept the physical death transition. Does that make sense?
It does, and that was one of my goals in creating Angel Blessings, Messages from Heaven, the book, and then the CD with 40 tracks on it. I was blessed to be friends with Dr. Wayne Dyer, and I asked him to read 2 of the poems, which I have on the CD with beautiful music behind it. And I asked Dr. Masters to record one of my poems as well. So that's on that as well. And the whole goal of that was to do exactly what you're saying, that if we are, as you have found, in touch with our inner self and our soul and in touch with spirit, this is the perfect way to be prepared for the transition of leaving this body and moving on into spirit. And, of course, the astral plane is where we go, and then there's even higher planes after that, because we're on a continual journey. But this earth plane happens to be very hard to let go of because of the attachments and the ego and things that happen here. So the more I think you can do to meditate and to get in that state and to make that inner connection, to build what they call in the spiritual field the antakarana, the bridge that takes you and that you can cross over into heaven. But at the same time, having prepared my entire life and understanding this, it doesn't take away from what we go through in the process of losing a loved one on this plane, because you still go through a grieving process. In spite of all of the things, there's a process that goes on. However, that grieving process really can limit us at the same time, because our loved ones are alive and in spirit, and I believe they're totally aware of when we're sending them love and light. And the grief blocks that. And so here, your teachings on the astral levels and being able to connect are very powerful. I've had many times where, just like you, when you're kind of relaxed or I'm asleep, I get very strong dreams that I know are from the astral level, because I think part of us and the awakened people really do travel to the astral level while we're sleeping, but most of us seem to forget that. Have you had that experience?
Yeah, that's the main blockage. Two things. The two primary reasons that people come to me personally or to the LBT in general is that they either wanted to visit a deceased loved one and continue communication with them, or they want to understand these lucid dreams or these messages that they're getting. That's definitely what I run across primarily from people that come into the group.
Well, and I want to address in the brief time we have left too, is that there's so much misinformation that's been given to people by some of the churches that are fear-based messages of hell and damnation that I really would like to really dispel, and I think you could too. I think that just as we believe within our heart, so it is on this earth plane, it can be the same way on the astral plane. So I really think it's damaging if you think you're going to go to hell, and if you think that this is going to be the place, that you can carry that with you. And indeed, it's not reality. It is nothing but love and higher realms, and not the judgment that we hold. And I think, if anything, living on earth is more of the time we spent that's closer to what people say is hell, and heaven is all love and forgiveness. But so it's very important to be aware that you've experienced this problem in the astral level. What you're directing your travel and thoughts to are much more quickly actuated on the astral planes, aren't they?
Exactly. Again, you touched on so many great points, but in the astral plane, really anything that's not physical, things manifest at the speed of thought, and you travel at the speed of thought. So when things are no longer physical, you really have to be aware, and this is one of the reasons that in one of our weeks of the curriculum we teach the Hermetic law of cause and effect. Each week we go through one of the seven Hermetic principles, and then have the initiate spend the seventh day of their learning practicing in their daily life that Hermetic principle. But cause and effect, the Hermetic law, it's going back to hell, heaven, judgments, whatever. There is no hell per se, but there is a universal reality of cause and effect. So for every cause, there's an equal effect. So it goes, at the karmic level, whether you're in the astral or deceased in the astral life, your actions, your thoughts, your emotional impulses all have an equal effect. So you have to get very, very serious about your spiritual life, your spiritual maturity, and your foundations, whether you're astral traveling or, preparing your soul for the afterlife. Does that make sense?
You're absolutely correct. And I like to remind people, in some ways, I think it's that afterlife or just at the end of life review. I recommend people do a daily life review at the end of their day, because if there's things you need to clear, you should do your house cleaning on a regular basis. Otherwise, you do have a lot of stuff to clear up. And when people do horrific acts, people say, how can they're going to go to hell? Well, I think everyone experiences the pain they cause other people. There is a cause and effect. And then once that pain is cleared, I think they can move on. But if someone has caused a lot of pain to other people, I think that they have to realize the pain they've caused. But then there's the forgiveness and the release.
I really like what you said. I'm going to take that to heart, because I have my daily meditation sequences. But to close the day and just kind of give it a review, because you go through a week, a month, a year, and you really at the conscious level forget a lot. But if I like that, Cindy, if we go through daily. I'm officially prescribing that as well. If we go through daily and just kind of clear the database and come to terms with everything that we did, even if it's things that, in the moment we didn't necessarily agree with, to reconcile with that, I think that can do a lot of karmic cleansing right off the bat very well. Yeah.
And I do believe that, once you do that, if you can just give thanks at the end of each day, after you've done, and it doesn't, it's funny, in life it takes so long to live every moment, but you can do a review in about 5 It goes very fast in review. But to then give thanks, because you know what? We are blessed to have every single breath in this precious life, and to be grateful. And then you can even direct, as where you go in your dreams and sleep in. That's good practice for learning how to astral travel as well. Mm-hmm. Well, we've got to wrap up. I mean, this half hour flew by. I'd love to see you maybe do a regular show, because you have so much insight. Appropriate, since this show is called Metaphysical Insights. But Dr. Joseph Kenneth, what a treat to talk to you. Again, people can go to your website at www.lightbodytravelers.com. That's www.lightbodytravelers.com. Again, remember that if you're listening at this very moment, this coming Tuesday, it'll be all updated. And the wonderful e-zine is present there. Spirituals International, wonderful articles, and I guess they can contact you if they're interested in participating in that as well.
By all means, yeah, by all means. There's the contact form right on the website. The actual email address is a bit lengthy, so I'll just the contact form is the best way for anyone to connect, and really just if they're interested in advanced spirituality, anything at all, from astral travel to metaphysics and the whole spectrum.
Well, God bless, and thank you for the work you do.
Same to you, Cindy. Thanks for having me.
A big aloha from Maui. Until next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Geico presents sharing versus oversharing. Earlier this week, Claire Tippins shared a princess nickname generator. 3 pictures of her dog wearing a tutu.